Welcome to Dear Business Coach, the podcast. My name's Elizabeth Walker, your producer and host, bringing you exclusive spotlights, interviews, articles, free resources. This is Dear Business Coach, the podcast. Listen, follow, and the email subscription is at dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. Also, access the free magazine each week. All it takes sometimes is one little thing to move your business forward today. Hi, Stacy.
Hi.
Hey, I'm getting my camera ready. How are you today?
Good. So far, so good.
Good. Oh, I like, yeah. All right. Well, I feel like, do you have some new stuff in your background?
I maybe I
Okay.
is it too busy or is it okay?
No, 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 no. It looks good. I thought, it looks, something looks new to it, but it looks
Looks
great. No.
different.
I have a little bit of shadow going on here. That's okay. You look good.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Well, let me go ahead and hit the record button and we'll start talking and then that'll be, well, it's already recording. Okay, good job.
Check.
That's right. Oh, well, good morning, and welcome to the Dear Business Coach podcast. Stacy, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Elizabeth?
Yeah, good. I love this time of day. It's a good time to talk and get my brain started by talking to you, and so that's the best way to start the day. And I
Agreed.
actually, I have your bio. We talked a little bit about some things, but I know that we can see that it's, and your title here actually says career ownership coach. I don't know that I actually had that word in my notes, right? So, what's a career ownership coach?
Great. I work with folks on how to move maybe from the back seat or the passenger seat of their career into the driver's seat. So sometimes that includes thinking about business ownership, but a lot of times just the process of taking time to define their goals, know what is out on the horizon for themselves, for their families, and then aligning their career objectives to those goals helps them feel a sense of ownership and control over what they're spending most of their day doing in their careers.
And thank you to my partner, Good Feels Cannabis Seltzer Drinks. They are a partner of the show, bringing you an exclusive code that's COACH, COACH. Use code COACH at checkout for 20% off your entire order. Thanks so much for listening. That's sounds like a bigger feat than I don't know than I would maybe be prepared to look at. I think personally, I have I can relate to the idea of feeling that I'm not in control or that I'm doing the steps, but is this really the right path? I think I'm doing the right
Yeah.
thing. And that's the
Mhm.
first thing that I think about personally, as far as like what would be my first hesitation, right? It's getting together with a coach is almost like dating a little bit,
A
right?
little bit, right? Yeah.
I have to feel some sort of trust and comfort level, and I
Right.
have to feel like we're going to connect some way on maybe a personality level. And I would have to trust that you would be really helping me think about my goals and priorities, right? I don't know. Are you going to pep talk me into like high self sales mode, right? Like, am I going to learn how to own my career path so that I can really
Right.
sell myself really hard and get into a better position? Like, what does that kind of look like?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think for a lot of my clients, by the time they get to me, they're already in a place where it's like, this is not really working for me. Like I'm feeling the misalignment. I'm feeling dissatisfied with my day job. I need to do something different, but I don't know where to start.
Mm,
And I think that's where I come in, where a coach can really help, is sometimes you need a complete stranger to ask you some questions to really look at, ask you why is this your goal? Where did that come from? What would that be like if you reached that goal? Where when I think we talk with our friends or our families, a lot of times they know the answer, they kind of are assuming the answer. And so they might not even ask the question. Where talking to somebody that you know you don't have a background with, sometimes you can, oddly enough, sometimes you can go a little deeper because you touch on subjects that it's like, oh gosh, nobody's really asked me that, or I haven't stopped to think about that for a while in my career. And I get a lot of people who just appreciate kind of taking a breath and using some of their strategy muscles on themselves, because
mm,
we get used to doing that for our teams, for our family, for our kids, and we don't use any of that for ourselves. So
mm.
also, I think sometimes working with a coach gives you a little accountability, like, oh, I get to talk about myself for a whole hour, right? Or think about my career and not, all the millions of things that I need to be doing or need to get other people doing or off on the right track. That it can be a little bit of me time too. So, yeah,
Wow.
I have a real easy style, and I think that resonates with folks. But a lot of times, like, I'll ask one question and they'll just go, right? They're ready to talk.
Right, 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 right. We would surprise ourselves.
Yeah, yes.
Wow. So we are partnered. The Dear Business Coach podcast is now officially partnered with NordVPN. And you know what? Look out for the logo, some press releases, cool information. What in the heck is a VPN and how does it work? I'm really excited. I travel and now I know how to get the VPN security I need. So, Nord is now officially our affiliate partner. Look out for ways to support the show by going to the affiliate link I provide to you in your email and other places you can see it on the website. Thanks so much, NordVPN.
For
So, okay,
sure.
well, that's good. Yeah, that I'm glad that you also said and pointed out that, yeah, sometimes you'd be surprised. It is good to have a stranger ask you these questions.
Right?
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so that's helpful too because I might share something with you that I wouldn't share with a friend or family member because I'm afraid of being judged or something.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I usually talk about four elements of goals when we're talking about career: income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity. So kind of like, what do you need to earn? What do you want to earn? What's that work-life balance look like? Kind of legacy or impact are you thinking about? And kind of what does ownership look like for you? It's different for different people, kind of what taking ownership of their career look like. So I've had people say to me things like, I want to make a lot of money, but I feel like I can't say that, right?
Mm,
Or I don't want to make a lot of money. I want to have time to do this or that, or to be with my kids, or I want to do this community thing that my partner might think is kind of maybe a waste of time or maybe silly. Like, how do I incorporate those elements into my career? And so it is kind of fun to break down sometimes, how do we define success? What are our personal goals? And then how do you bring your partners, your family, your friends into that with you? because depending on your life phase, what your goals were when you're in your early 20s are really different later in life. And it's okay to kind of rearrange and spend some time thinking about, okay, in this season, what are my goals? I've been doing this thing for over and over, or I've been on a certain track, and now it's time to stop for a minute and think about, do I need to jump a track, right?
Yeah.
Could I change? Um, so that process is usually really, really fun to dig into.
Yeah, you just said, could I change? You were acting out someone thinking to themselves, could I change? That
Yeah.
is really wild too. Could I change? I can see myself thinking that. I can see myself, well, I should stop saying could see myself. I do think that. I do think that. And I wonder what are the possibilities that I could see with some guided practice with you. And
Yeah.
basically, Stacy, I think that you are touching on some vocabulary here that gets me thinking a little bit differently. So I
Yeah.
when you say bring our partners and our families, that's really hard to talk about. That's something that I
Mhm.
end up trying to avoid because it makes me feel weak, or it makes me feel
Mhm.
like there's something going on in my personal life that I don't have together enough yet to come and talk to you about what I'm going to do in
Mhm.
my career.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
where can I start with that kind of a feeling?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think sometimes we'll have those kind of those secret thoughts of like, my career is not quite doing it for me anymore, right? But my family's used to my income, or um, I really like my title, my job title, my industry. What is my partner going to think if I say, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I want to do something different. And I think a lot of times, like those strong reactions that we get from our friends and family, it's out of love and concern, right? Like like, you spent so much of your time building this career, like you don't, what if you jump tracks and you're not successful? Like, what if you fail? What if you're hurt? What if you're injured, and they have strong reactions because they love us. And so I think some of the work that I do with folks is really being confident of what is the goal that you're trying to accomplish? Why would you make a change? What would a change do for you? And feeling really solid in that, to be able to then, how do you explain that to somebody else? So I do a lot of role playing and kind of talking through, but really it starts with a firm base of, well, why bother making a change? Like, why is that good? What could that unlock for you or do for you? And also, as it ripples out for your family and friends, too. And then how can you start talking about it? Is a lot of times can be really freeing for people to go, I've always wanted to do this or that, or I see an opportunity to have a bigger impact, or, to balance my lifestyle, my work and life. Wouldn't this be good? Like, these are good things. These are life producing things. So being real firm on the whys, I think helps. And then, leaking into that, like, what if they, what if they cry? What if they yell at me? What if they, like, what is that like?
Right. I don't, yeah, I heard somebody say not too long ago this, or share this analogy of around self-esteem, about carrying it around with you in like a briefcase.
Uh-huh.
And who carries a briefcase? But I, it's, I feel like, this analogy really helped me one day, where the idea is, are you carrying around your self-esteem in a suitcase so that when you go to a meeting or have a conversation with somebody, you kind of sit down and you open your briefcase and you go, here it is, here's all the stuff I have, and then you get what you get, maybe positive, or maybe you don't get a reaction you're expecting, or maybe you get no reaction. And then that's it. Your self-esteem is over, and you pack it back up in your suitcase and hope that the next person will uh, be receptive if you didn't like the response. And I thought to myself, maybe that's true of me, even though I've thought most of my life that I'm a pretty confident person.
Mm.
However, if I
Mhm.
really think about the people that are close to me, they sometimes have the most impact. I have the most fears about what they'll say. And because I don't want to have to explain to somebody. What if I can't do that?
Right.
It's part of my identity. And I'll give you an example. My and sometimes it's your kids, right? My daughter, for a long time, I was in an office in a call center, and I left that position. I was really burnt out, and I kind of floundered for a while, and it was
Mhm.
not didn't look very good. Meaning, like, my child is like, what does mom do for a living? Who does? I
Yeah.
tried a couple of different jobs, and it just was really uncomfortable for me, because I felt like I don't want my child to be existing in this world wondering, what's mom's role in the business world,
Right.
or as a job or whatever.
Right.
Like, here I am, this woman who has been working, and I have that identity that, mom can
Mhm.
work and mom can make money. And then when I didn't have that identity anymore, I felt really inadequate in the eyes of
Yeah.
potentially my child. And so that
Yeah.
was, I still am worried about what that
Yeah.
period in my lifetime might have looked like for her. So, uh, how long will it take before, like, when I come to you, like, how long till I'm doing the thing I love and I have a new identity and I don't have to explain it to
Right.
anybody
Right.
anymore?
Right. Well, I think that's really interesting. Well, and I think like sometimes where a coach can step in is help reframe some of that, right? Like I would say, "Oh my gosh, how wonderful that your daughter saw you struggle and you and worked through it, right? You were resilient." And like we all have those periods where we're like, what am I doing with my life kind of thing, and teaching your kids like that. It's okay. Like you will live through it. You can keep going. Success is still there for you. Um, and I think for a lot of my clients in this process, I had this too. I went through this process too of figuring out, well, what are those things that are most important? Like, is it important to be able to say I'm the manager, the director, or I work in this industry? Like for some people, that's the thing. And so it's great. How do we make you happy in that role? Like, how do you get that? For other people, they're like, no, I want to, be a person that could lead other people, that could have control of my schedule, that could, make an impact in my community, whatever those things are. And it doesn't really, what if I owned a pooper scooper business instead of worked, developing drugs for life-saving drugs for a pharmaceutical? Like,
Hmm.
both are valuable. They speak to different people. And I think I see people when you can kind of let go of some of that, how other people define success or how society has defined success for you, and lean into your own definition of what does success look like? What do I want to be about? Like, am I a job title, or am I certain characteristic, like what is that thing, then I see like the little, the little flowers start to bloom, right? Of, well, I can explain this to people, or I'm really proud of what I do, because I'm living my goal. I'm headed towards my goal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I that title is really a big is really interesting because I also think of myself as somebody who's not very interested in titles. And yet here recently somebody I was on a panel and the host called me an executive producer. And now all of a sudden of this podcast. And so now
Right?
all of a sudden because somebody else said it, I feel like I have permission to say that role.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and also the back to the story about, how do I look in the eyes of like my children or my family? I
Mhm.
obviously I'm here talking to you and I this podcast is the thing I do every day.
Yeah.
And now it's a new challenge. Now it's people say, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's really cool. How do you make money?" And I say,
Right.
oh no, I don't know what. So, I mean, the obvious answer is, well, I can show you my business model and I can tell you this and that. But that's it's just
Right.
it's psychological. So
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
changes are interesting in the different phases. Um, Stacey, did you feel like you um had wanted to learn how to do this for yourself? Did something happen in your life where you felt you saw a real need? Like what kind of a fire was that for you?
Yeah, I struggle. My background is in human resources, and so I spent decades working for other people in HR and just never felt like I was exactly cut out for that. I always felt like I don't quite fit in. Like there was a lot of changing I had to do of my personality, my character to fit into some of these roles. And I took a little break and did some consulting work and was like, okay, what, like having a midlife crisis, like, what am I going to do? And I just kept getting all these no's. Like, when I used to get yeses, right? So I was going for job interviews, and I just kept getting turned down. I'm too qualified. I'm not qualified enough. I'm not in the right city. I'm not in the right thing. And I I was so frustrated. And my husband said to me, he's like, do you think this is happening for a reason? Like, do you really want to go back into corporate America and working for somebody else and doing this thing? Like maybe is the universe telling you like what maybe that's time for a change. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, but I never like what else can I do? I had that. Like, well, I can't do anything else. I've spent 20 years building expertise in HR. Like, what else could I possibly do? And I met a career coach, and through working with him, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been looking really narrowly at my options, like super narrow. Like, if you just pull the curtain back a little bit, like people make livings doing all sorts of things. And I'm like, well, I can't be a business owner. I don't know. And I like talking to people. I'm not good with numbers. I'm not a business person. Like, could I even do this? What would this be like? And through kind of the coaching work, I met other people that I got to hear their stories like, well, how did you do it? And you seem like me and you're making it work. Can I make this work? Kind of trying on those personas. I found like, okay, there's tons of options, right? I just wasn't looking for them. And so this turned out to be the best one. And as I lean more into the entrepreneur source and career ownership, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really had been coaching people my entire career from the company side, and now I get to do it from the individual side. So I'm like, oh, I've just kind of flipped the mirror of my career, I can do this, right? I do have skills and expertise, but also passion to make an impact while also being able to own my own schedule, which was part of my goal. I've got 4 kids, so a busy household, in this,
Yeah.
I can work from home. I talk to people all across the country. It's really checked a lot of boxes, and fit my why. So I think, when we have those moments of, gosh, this just isn't working, there's, yeah, I talk to a lot of people who are like, there has to be something else. Like, what am I missing? There's got to be another way. I'm like, there is. We're just not like we got to just open the curtain, right? You're looking at one lane, but really it's like a multi-lane highway. Like you could do lots of things, and make lots of things work. And so I think some of that ownership too of your career is knowing you have some options so you're not just stuck with one job title, one industry. Like there are lots of options. You could always make a change. And sometimes that can feel really empowering to continue with your job to know like, no, actually I can be in control. Or I can do this or I could do something else. Uh, you know, I do get
Yeah.
some of the like, you're not the boss of me type attitude sometimes, which is fun too.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you would really have to train yourself to let go and let that mentality play out, especially coming from an HR background. Right, in HR,
Right.
it's kind of like everything has to be on a piece of paper, right?
Yeah, some of that is really freeing. I'm like, ooh, we could apply the rules or we can make up our own rules. Like, oh, it's so exciting.
Right. Yeah, and that feels maybe like oh my gosh, too many options or something. But for so right, so I yeah, okay, so I can relate to that feeling too of oh, the option to do something all of a sudden changes my
Right.
life.
Like you feel different about it. Like, oh, yeah, right? Like I don't just have to have Cheerios for breakfast. Like there's a whole aisle of cereal. Like, huh, well, then I can keep eating my Cheerios in peace or, finish the box and try something new, right?
Right. Yeah, and sometimes yeah, having those options. Oh, I was thinking actually a second ago about yeah, options. I wanted to say, is that why so many people that I meet today have like 4, 5, 6 job titles? Because, I spoke with a woman who helped me with my LinkedIn profile, and she really, really wanted to stop in the middle of our meeting when I said, okay, so the LinkedIn profile is not your resume. And she said, no, no. And I kind of knew she was going to say that, and yet, yeah, I was feeling nervous for a little while of feeling like, what do I present? How do I
Right.
share what these different titles are? The reason I'm thinking about this too is generational differences, and then how
Yeah.
things are so different when I was in school, the idea that your career path would change a few times in your lifetime was something we were talking about. I'm 41 now, and so at
Mhm.
the time, I wanted to do an interdisciplinary or a design your own degree kind of thing, and somebody said, "Don't do that. Don't do that. It's going to you won't be able to get a job." And now I think my advice to someone who's in college or thinking about college is I would say, don't think about college as a path to a job. It's your chance to study the academic world, take classes that you think are fun because this is your chance to do that. It almost doesn't matter what you study. And I know that's not the
Right.
best advice. It's the extremes of both things, right? Somewhere in the middle would be more appropriate. But yeah, I talk to people all the time and I look at their LinkedIn profiles, which does read like
Right.
a resume, but it's well, I like mine, for example, is there's a magazine, and so that says I do that full time. There's the podcast, so that says I do that full time. There's
Uh-huh.
a brand that I sell for, so I'm also doing that all the time. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like it makes it look a little bit like, or my fear is sometimes it makes it look a little bit like I have myself spread too thin or something. But no, that is
Mm,
what the nature of the climate
yeah.
is, right? Is that I can be have a professional role and
Hmm.
participate in different things at the same time. Do you
Yeah.
think that people like have you ever given someone the advice or have someone ever asked you, well, is it possible for me to figure out what my passions or my likes or interests are now while I'm working? And can I present that to the
Hmm.
world too? Is that appropriate? Is that professional?
Yeah. Yes. Yes and yes.
Okay.
Right. So I think some of s- well, and younger generations, right? I'm 51. So yeah, like totally different than when you were in school. When I was in
Mm,
school, I was getting
mm.
a different talk too, right? Track.
Oh,
Younger generations, they've got it, they're on to something, right? But I think what I like to do with folks is what is your career story, right? Like, what are you about? And a lot of times when we think back, even things we did in school, like I had a person who was like, I was a lifeguard in high school and saw how that theme of safety and being concerned about people had really woven its way all through their career. Like that they always gravitated towards these positions where they were looking out for people. And I'm like, okay, that's a great story. So I bet like you and I probably have similar themes, right? Like we like people, we like thinking outside the box, trying new things, being entrepreneurial. Other people like when you spot those themes or those big skill sets, then I think we can lean in. Like it's just where you apply that skill set, those abilities. So I have quite a few people who are, doing something maybe a little heady in their day job and they're like, I just miss being creative or I miss being around people or I miss some element is missing in their job. And sometimes the answer is, okay, we need to re-examine your entire career. And some of it is like, well, how do we get that thing in your life? Is it a
mm.
volunteer opportunity? Is it a side gig? Like, is it opening a business and letting your mind be creative and work through some of those skills on a part-time basis? And that kind of then completes the picture. So I think, again, not having a narrow focus on, okay, there's only one way to do things, but no, there's lots of possibilities. And I love that, like mixing or building a career that hits all the thing, my creative brain, my business brain, the number playing with numbers, being with people, being creative, having solitary activities, that really then gives us an integrated life, right? And I think also gives us opportunities to bring the people we love in with us, right? Like I make my kids do business stuff with me, right? Like, we're putting together things, and it's teaching them some lessons, but it's also letting them watch me in action. It's giving us some teachable moments, all those things too. And we get to hang out. So I think there's opportunities when you have that integrated, wider, bigger life.
I think that's really cool. I think you have a very solid, soft approach, right? It sounds like it doesn't sound that scary, even though
Right.
it's still nervous. I guess my brain goes originally, or at first it goes to, oh no, I'm going to have to make a really huge change right away, and that's going to be really
Right.
hard and
Right.
really expensive. And as you know now, I'm afraid to explain myself to other people. So it sounds like all of these things are going to be really scary. But talking to you
Yeah.
now, it sounds like we might have a conversation about, are you fulfilling some of the things that you have thought about? Like, do you have a hobby?
Right.
Let's start with that. Do you have a hobby?
Right.
But
Right.
that's not quite what you're a career ownership coach. So that's we're supposed to be focusing on work here, but you're the one
Well,
who
and
said
again,
during your,
I think sometimes reframing that idea of what would happen if you didn't make a change. Are you happy continuing on the path you're on? Right. And for some people, like that change feels really scary, but the thought of not changing or continuing to do what they're doing or living the whatever the lifestyle, the work lifestyle is like, oh, I can't do that. And so it's like, all right, which is scarier, all right, like, okay, how can we take little bites then and explore? So sometimes flipping that too is like, oh, do I stay in my rut? Or do I find, could there actually be a better pasture out there? How would I even look? And getting excited about just finding those options, right?
right.
Finding the cereal aisle.
Right. Okay. So now I get to the cereal aisle, and where do I start? So I want to find something different. Yeah. So sometimes there's like things that we can think about in our personality. This is really interesting. You said that when you told the story about the guy who was a lifeguard, I thought that you were going to say water. I thought you were going to say that
Ah.
he needs to be around water or outside on the coast or something. I So there you go. There's two completely different thought
Yeah.
processes of
Okay.
what that meant for him.
Hmm.
And he
Hmm.
likes to take care of people, and safety was an element that you said. And that's
Hmm.
interesting the way you said that too. You said safety is an element. So you picked a word, or you picked an element, and maybe you didn't say to that gentleman, maybe you need to go, be in CPR training or something. You just said, oh, this
Hmm.
is an
Hmm.
element for you. So that kind of brainstorming is sort of like taking the daydreaming into what is it that appeals to you about that? Do you think you have like a
Hmm.
natural, it's one thing to ask somebody to open up, and that does happen, right? You said
Right.
earlier, a lot of times you'll ask one question and then it all comes
The
out.
floodgates.
We've been dying to do this for a while now. Yeah. So what about thinking about, what are the first steps? Like if I say, well, I want to I really enjoy the idea of caring for people, or I'm really good at safety. I'm really good at
Hmm.
being in a watchful role. I recently watched a documentary about people who are high processors, people who are very aware of their environments.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so a lifeguard seems like somebody that might naturally fit into that role, or maybe someone who's like a nurse or a doctor, or somebody who's
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
in those kinds of roles, because not everybody has the knack to be
Hmm.
in that role, to be that highly alert and processing. That might just be something that makes you feel like your talents are being used. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't think about that kind of an attribute as like a, a focus, right? What is this in
Hmm.
your life that means? Okay, let me to make sure. Am I keeping you too long? Um,
No,
Tell
no,
me,
no, I
okay,
get
good. Well, and what I want to get better at is actually I wanted to bring up your contact information at the beginning and where is the best place for people to talk to you?
Yeah, so if people are feeling that burning of like, oh, yep, I've got some things I want to talk about or think about. My website is mylifemybiz.com, and that takes you right into a contact card. You can hop on my calendar, um, and have some time to talk to me one-on-one about my my process, and if that's a fit, if that's the right time. um, Timing has a lot to do with it, and kind of what a person wants to get out of coaching too. So mylifemybiz.com is the best.
Okay, mylifemybiz.com. And yeah, you're right. I can schedule a call, and there's the form that I can put my information into right here. That is so helpful. And actually, the entrepreneur source career ownership coaching, I see that in your background too. So I
Mhm.
recognize the logos. You know what, Stacy? And I said, did I ask you, make sure I say it correctly? Is it Heisey-Terrell?
Yep,
Oh, good.
perfect. Yeah. A
I
plus.
asked you before. Double check. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to say that again. So mylifemybiz.com.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, and put in your information there. And it's, by the way, free to put in your name and email address and message and send a
Yeah,
message.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I like to talk to lots of people. Some people feel like, oh, am I too old? Am I too young? Like, nope. It's always a good time if you feel like it's you need to think about making a change. There's always time, right? To even just that discussion or the regrounding of your goals and alignment with your career, I think is right for everybody, right? So don't hesitate to reach out.
There's always time. That's so good. Always time. Thank you, Stacy Heisey-Terrell, mylifemybiz.com. And I would hope to have you back in the future and talk some more. And thank you so much. I hope you have a
Yeah.
fantastic day.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye bye for now.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Dear Business Coach podcast. My name's Elizabeth Walker, producer and host. Don't forget to subscribe to email. Thank you so much for being here, and find one thing today to move your business forward. Contact me at dearbusinesscoachpodcast@gmail.com. And as always, you are a superstar. Hey, listeners, don't forget to subscribe to email if you haven't already. Do this at dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. And if you are a new subscriber, look for the magazine coming up. You can get a free download as a new subscriber. That's dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. Thanks so much, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Remember, you are a superstar.